Isaac, how are you going to get that out now?
All right, folks.
Oh.
Let's put your Chromebooks down for a minute. You can still keep your flies. Okay, we can look at them, but I want to talk about a couple things real quick. Yeah, I laughed at that later in the day. I was like, 666. All right, so listen up. Here's what we got. Yesterday, we talked about the fact that meiosis is a little bit different than mitosis, okay? So let's talk about the phrase. What's the phrase? I pick what? My anus thoroughly, right? So what's the I stand for? Interphase. What's P stand for? M, A, T, telophase, right? Remember, I go from one cell to make two cells. The ultimate reason why we're talking about this is we went from an egg, and you can see those little eggs in your tubes right now, and then they're eventually going to become a fly. Why is that happening? It's not because the cell's getting bigger. It's because it's dividing, right? And those cells are specialized thanks to the DNA. Some cells are going to become eyeballs. Some cells are going to become brains. Some are going to become wings, and so on and so forth, right? So all of those cells have the same number of chromosomes, like 12 in fruit flies, but in us, we all have 46 chromosomes. Okay, how do we get 46? Well, we get 46 because sperm have 23, eggs have 23, and you put that together, 23 plus 23 is 46. Now, yesterday we threw a box around, and we looked at the fact that when we threw this box, okay, this box was my die, right? Okay, and I wanted to see where stuff was crossing over, right? So we threw this box, and that landed on egg 3. So we know that crossing over happened right here. So this piece went over here like this. Okay, they switched with each other. So it's a 3, 4, 5, and then now we got 10 on the 6. Okay, it's not always just like that, but hopefully that kind of shows you the idea of what's happening. This red part of this chromosome is going to switch with this other part of this chromosome. Okay, so this will be green with a little bit of red. This will be red with a little bit of green here on the bottom. Now, let's switch this around. All of this is happening in which one of these cell parts? Which one? Yeah, this thing, what's this called? The nucleus, right? This is called the nucleus, and it makes these little dots. What are those little dots called? Ribosomes, right? And they're on what kind of ER? Rough ER, right? This has no ribosomes, so we call that smooth ER. We get power thanks to this sausages, mitochondria, right? This thing packages ships, right? And they ship them in these things called vesicles. These things clean them up. Those are called what? What's my cleaner?
Every time.
Lysosome, right? And then this centriole helps divide the cells up. Okay? So we got chromatin, we got chromosomes, and we got chromatid. And when we did that in this process, and I'm just going to sketch this. It looked like this. We had interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, and telophase, right? Okay, we had chromatin, we had some chromosomes. We did this, we practiced this yesterday. They line up down the middle. Okay, those centrioles pull them apart, right? Okay, just like this, and then we end up with these things. All right. Everybody look up here for a minute, because this is where it's going to get weird. These cells are identical. I have 2 cells. I started with 1 cell. Now I have 2 cells, right? Everybody with me on that? Yeah. They're the same. The process where this is happening, this crossing over, it's not like this. I'm going to sketch it out for you. It's like this. Oh, by the way, here's the interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, right? Okay, now watch this. Very similar before. Interphase, prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. But watch this. These 2 cells are going to do this. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. They're like, wait, I don't get it. Okay, follow me here for a second. I'm gonna put some letters up here. This is interphase. This is called prophase 1. This is called metaphase 1. This is called anaphase 1. This is called telophase 1. This is called prophase 2. This is called metaphase 2. This is called anaphase 2. This is called telophase 2. Okay? Right? So, you're like, why do you do this to me, bro? I finally just kind of figured out mitosis. Okay? Here we have 2 cells. How many cells do I have here at the end of this one? 4. Now, these are identical. Do you think these are going to be identical? No. Okay. In fact, what I'm making here is sperm and eggs. Okay.
Isaac.
What? You okay, man?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm
Oh.
great.
Did your feet-
I'm good.
All right. So these are not identical. In fact, we want them to be different. Why do we want them to be different?
Because
Did it work?
Did it work? I hope it worked. Did it work? Oh, yeah. Okay. I hope you pee a little too. Okay, all right, good to know. All right, now listen, stick with me here. Okay, so I have 4 cells. I have 2 cells. These are identical. These are not identical. Okay, this cell has 46 chromosomes in it. This is 46 chromosomes in it. How many chromosomes do you think are in this cell right here?
you're like
23. You got it.
Yeah.
How many do you think are in this one? 23. How many do you think are in this one? 23. How many do you think are in this one? 23. Okay, because what's 23 plus 23? 46, right? So now I've got half the number of chromosomes here. These are identical. These are like, oh man, I need a partner. If this is sperm, it's going to meet with an egg. And I'm not talking about just humans here. This is all animals, right? Okay, sperm and eggs come together. Now, it may not be, the number may not be 23, okay, but it's going to be half the number of whatever they need. So if it's like my organism only has 12 chromosomes, then that would be 6 and 6. You all with me on this?
yeah.
Okay, now we watched this video, and I want to rewatch just a section of it because I'll tell you, some of this is new information, and you know, with the great thing about biology is if I was teaching the same thing that I was teaching when I started, that would be horrible because that is not how things used to be. So we learn new stuff all the time, and partly. I keep saying like this thing, this is like chromosomes. Then I also said this is like a chromosome, but then that kind of looks like a chromatid, right? So you're like, well, who's right? Who's wrong? Chromatid, you right? Well, technically, I am right, but I want to rewatch part of this, not the whole thing here. Okay? All right, stick with me here for a second.
Recall from our mitosis clip
I'm gonna
that
pause
since it
this.
makes
Watch this
identical
part.
body cells, mitosis is important for growth and for repair of damage or to replace worn out cells, but not meiosis. Meiosis is a process that
It's all good,
contributes to genetic variety. Meiosis also doesn't make body cells. It makes sperm and egg cells, otherwise known as gametes, the fancier word. You might recall that humans have 46 chromosomes. That's how many chromosomes most body cells in your body have. But there are some human cells that don't have 46 chromosomes. Human sperm cells and egg cells have 23 chromosomes. Why the number difference? Well, if a sperm cell has 23 chromosomes and an egg cell has 23 chromosomes, when they come together, that makes 46 chromosomes. That will allow a newly formed fertilized egg to develop into a human. Meiosis is what we call a reduction division because you have a starting cell that has 46 chromosomes, and your ending cell, the sperm and egg cells, have only 23 chromosomes. Before we can start getting into the stages of meiosis to make gametes, we have to remember what happens before meiosis can even start. Actually, this also happens before mitosis. It's the stage known as interphase.
Don't
If you remember
forget, remember
interphase-
when we looked at our cells?
Yeah.
Like we counted all those up. Which one did we have the most of? Interface, right? Because that's the biggest piece of the pot. Mitosis is just a sliver.
It's when the cell is growing, it's replicating its DNA, it's carrying out cell processes, and just like mitosis, interphase happens before meiosis is even going to start. So the starting cell has 46 chromosomes, and you have to duplicate those chromosomes in interphase before meiosis starts. That basically means you are duplicating your DNA, since chromosomes are made of DNA
Right,
and
now, here's the
protein.
weird part.
Ready for the tricky part?
Yeah.
Well, because we tend to count chromosomes by the number of centromeres present, when the 46 chromosomes duplicate, we still say there are 46 chromosomes.
And so you're like, well, wait a second, man. That one thing was a chromosome. Now this is a chromosome. Like, what's a chromosome? Okay, it's all about this little thing called the centromere. Okay, I'm counting the dots. Okay, because it's weird because cells are going to replicate, they're going to divide, right? So this is how we look at the actual chromosome count. It's by that centromere.
Because the sister chromatids are still attached, and we are actually counting by centromeres. So 46 chromosomes here, they replicate in interphase, and you still have 46 chromosomes in this picture. But you went from
Trippy, right?
Yeah.
Y'all with me on this? So this is still a chromosome, right?
Yeah.
Okay, but when we go kind of like over here to over here, we call this chromatids. TID, not TIT.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and we're not talking about tits. No tits here, buddy. Okay, all right? Tids,
You have
chromatids.
cleavage,
I love biology. Okay, now, okay, what's happening? Okay, now everybody got my count stuff. Everybody with me on this?
Yes.
You have 46, I have 46. Hopefully, I mean, I'm looking at you guys are all pretty good. Okay, there might be one of you in this room that has a couple less chromosomes. I don't want to point it out who that would be, but
Hey,
they weren't here moments ago, if you know what I mean.
hey. You
All
got
right,
a
now
funny
look,
story?
if I go up here to Riley and
I'll
I pick
demonstrate
off
it
a
for you.
piece of his hair, okay, and then I
No,
take it over
I'm
here to
sitting
my
in the
lab
audience.
and I chop
Okay.
it up and I
I'm
look at it
right.
under the microscope, how many chromosomes is his hair cell gonna have?
41.
Nope,
46.
46. Okay, I go over here to Avery. I take off a piece of her hair, I chop it up. How many chromosomes is that hair cell gonna have? 46, right? Okay. The only ones we're talking about here, 23 sperm and eggs. Okay. Now,
Sperm and
let me
egg.
show you this piece.
What's the
Okay.
baby?
Something, stick with me here because we're gonna do a little quiz here in a second. Okay. Okay. Identical. Okay. Different, even though they're all 23. And they're all different
23.
because of what happens right here. This is where crossing over happens. Okay, this is where I take a piece of this chromosome and I switch it with a piece of the other chromosome. Now I did the box trick to try to make you think about this, but it's not necessarily exactly like that. I want to show you this picture again and watch the
46
crossing
to
over happen.
92 chromatids. A little tricky there. We have a detailed video that explains these chromosome numbers before and after replicating an interphase that can be useful for meiosis. Okay, so interphase checklist done. Now we can move into meiosis. You might remember the mitosis stages PMAT. The P was for prophase, the M was for metaphase, the A for anaphase, and the T for telophase. And the good news is that in meiosis, you still use those terms.
All right,
But
shh,
because
stick with me.
meiosis is actually a reduction division, you're going from 46 chromosomes to 23, which means you actually divide twice. So instead of mitosis, where you divide one time and do PMAT one time, in meiosis, you're going to divide twice.
Okay, so look. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase. Prophase, metaphase, anaphase, telophase, two cells. This cell's here, this cell's here. I go through it twice. Y'all with me on this? Can y'all picture that?
And therefore do PMAT twice. And because of this, in meiosis, you put numbers after the phases to indicate whether you're in the first division or the second division. So let's dive right in. So let's start with the very first step, prophase 1. One thing I like to remember about prophase is pro, this actually means before, and it kind of helps you remember that it comes before all the other stages start. This is where the chromosomes are going to condense and thicken. They are actually going to line up with their homologous pairs. The word homologous means that the chromosomes are approximately the same size and they contain the same types of genes in the same locations. They're going to match up. It is during this prophase 1 that this amazing process occurs called crossing over. Now, I know crossing over probably sounds like something very different, but this is actually a really awesome process because this is when the chromosomes, they're lined up in homologous pairs and they have this way that they can transfer their genetic.
All right, remember, we are doing the crossing over because I don't want the same cells. I want to increase my genetic what? Diversity, right? I want to be more diverse. I don't want to look like just sitting dude. I want to be Javen, right? Okay, though I'd be okay if I was Oliver, right? Right back at you. All right, so listen, so crossing over is switching those things. Tomorrow we're going to actually look at some chromosomes. So you're going to look at those bands on those chromosomes. We're going to do something called a karyotype. Okay, but I need everybody to open up right now your Google Classroom. Again, I think what I'm going to do here, like I've done before, is I am going to give you some participation points if you get at least one right. Okay, you got to get at least one right. So far, fingers crossed, everyone has got at least one right.
Can I tell you that I got the TikTok ladies?
I just gotta get one right.
Yeah,
Ones that make you
I can't remember.
they haven't yet, no, but I'll show you the one.
Again, just do this on your own. Do your best. Again, I'm more curious, like, after talking about this stuff, can you pick out, okay? And just remember, okay, I'll leave this up here. This is mitosis, 2 cells. This is meiosis, 4 cells. Okay, there's your hints for that. Okay, you might have to refresh because I just sent it out there. Okay, do your best. Chandler, you do the same. See how you do. I'm looking for at least one correct. We'll
Hey,
talk
Avery, do
about
you
it.
see this video of Javen kicking my coffee this morning?
Did a video of that?
This is after.
Did it not send?
He said that one. Which way did you kick it?
I went like
Listen,
this.
I was sitting where Riley was, literally, no, in the next seat over, and he just walked up and, for no
Is it
reason,
there now?
Yes.
no reason.
Would have hit the glass over there.
Yeah,
Or hit somebody else in the head.
Oh.
Sorry.
I wish he would have kicked it the other way and just hit Jace Judy across the head.
Sorry.
I only like Jace sometimes. He's annoying. He's okay sometimes. Sometimes he's annoying, but still love him.
I'll never forget it.
That was funny. Jace was so mad. I was like, Jace, watch your mouth, bro.
Caden
Yeah.
was in a pissy mood the entire day.
Caden is always in a crappy mood. When is Caden not mad?
Yeah, I don't know.
You don't worry, guys. I'll help you.
Don't worry. I need to get one of these right.
Which of the following is the difference between, interesting. Yeah, good job.
One of like 6 questions.
You did it.
Come on, Isaac.
I just need to get one right.
Name the part of the
Yeah, I'm just
space.
guessing. So,
Okay, well, look, that picture looks like
I
that.
got 2 right. Which one looks like what?
Look, this picture, I'll be your teacher now, don't worry.
That's cool. As long as it can make what?
Huh? Okay, look, you see that little picture on your screen?
See that picture right there?
That picture looks somewhat like that one, and that's an A.
Okay.
So, if you get it wrong,
It's your fault.
sound like that. John, don't worry.
No, I don't want.
Put my mask on.
And,
Who am I? Yeah, every part
Yes.
Hey, that's Cleveland right there. Surely out of all of these I've gotten that, so.
I'm sure at least got one.
I'm guessing. No,
At the end, everything just went downhill, like.
You know what these look like?
Oh,
I'm trying to figure out if they're genuine or. I don't understand.
Okay, cool, man. That's what I want to know. I want to know if you're not.
Apparently, everyone asked that.
All right, we'll talk about it. Just do your
I'm
best.
right beside you.
Is everybody done?
No, you're like halfway through. You know what, forget it. I'm
She was gone too.
You too, cat. I think you were just clicking.
Yeah, I know. At this point, I probably got one life, so if I don't, well. Kind of worried about my.
John, what did you do?
Alright, this better be better tail. Dude, my guy doesn't have any wings and he has a tail. Wait, they got
Mine
no.
that are like this.
This, yeah,
Brush.
you, look, mine has a tail.
I think I should teach this class instead.
He doesn't have.
John get an A plus?
He just has a bone.
Take a look here. I'm gonna go over it in just a minute.
I'm the teacher
So
now.
he's not a fly, he's a.
Do your best.
I am not done.
It's cool.
He's a.
Mr. Rose, what's your favorite class to teach?
I like them all for different reasons.
That was a lie. He does not like this class.
I do like this class. This is like a great bio one class. I cannot say that about.
Are we your favorite?
I can't say that. I
Probably
pick
not. Don't
favorites.
get your hopes
You
up.
have to admit, the class we had last year was pretty fun.
They were really fun. Yes.
Me, Kaden Schaefer, Morgan.
That was good.
Put your
times.
mask on. I don't want your COVID, Avery.
Off on you,
Jeez.
dude.
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
Avery, I've had COVID twice.
You had it twice.
Yes, it's a fun fact. I have had the Rona 2 times in my lifetime.
I didn't think you could put it.
You can, and I'm living proof of it.
Yeah, 3
I've had
months.
it twice in the last 8 months.
My stepmom had it in July and then she had it again in November.
All right.
I did April and December. I was supposed to go to the Caribbean for Christmas. Then your girl had COVID and couldn't go. I also got my wisdom teeth out and a week after that.
Nice. So the first time my stepmom had like all the regular symptoms and then the second time she had cold and mouth sores like over like.
All right.
100.
Everybody take a look right here because I'm going to tell you what, you're going to see
And
this
she was
again.
like- she thought it was just
All right.
virus, 'cause, like, you know,
And again, we'll practice, okay, but I was just curious to see how people did. Okay, this picture, you're like looking at it, like, what could this possibly be? There was a clue, okay, and it may not involve, I didn't draw any of this on the inside, but it had 4 cells. There was only one picture up there that had 4 cells, and that was telophase 2, okay,
he's swag.
right? So this was right here.
Even in- it's even-
Telophase 2. Y'all with me on that? 4 cells, telophase 2. All right. This one, you're like, okay, what's going on here? Okay, I got 4 chromosomes. They're not lined up down the middle, but they crossed over. This would be considered prophase 1 because I only have 1 cell. If I would have had 2 cells, it would be prophase 2. Y'all with me on this?
Yeah.
Seriously, I want you to stick with me. I want you to ask me questions. Okay? All right. This one should have been easy.
Yeah.
This one is interphase, right?
Told you, John.
It's all
I
over
told
the
you.
place. It's like chromosome. Okay? This one, 1 cell lined up down the middle, metaphase 1. 1 cell, it's 1. 2, if it says metaphase 2, you'd have 2 cells lined up down the middle. Y'all with me on this? Okay, y'all with me on this? Okay, what's the name of this phase? Okay, this is telophase 1 because I got cleavage and it's only 1 cell. Okay, this one, okay, 1 cell, they're being pulled apart, anaphase
Even my
1.
6th period.
This phase, 2 cells, they're not lined up, prophase 2.
Boom.
2 cells, they're lined up, metaphase 2. 2 cells, they're being pulled apart, anaphase 2. 2 cells, telophase 2. Okay, then these are the ones you should have gotten, right? This right here, that's prophase. This right here,
Dude, for real.
telophase.
I find
This phase right here, anaphase, going apart.
it look more like a grown
This phase right here, metaphase. Now this is a tough one. Like, what's going on here? Okay? If you look at this one, it's technically interphase because I do not have any chromosomes being formed. The blue thing, that right there, the nucleolus that makes the ribosome. That's a tough one. Okay, how about this one? I'm being pulled apart, anaphase. Okay, how about this one? This one is prophase because look, I got it's a tough one.
Wait, who?
Okay, how about this one?
Oh,
Telophase, I got
Not anymore.
cleavage.
really?
This one, metaphase, so lined up down the middle. This is a little bit tougher. What's this? This right here would be considered chromatin. This is like that spaghetti on the plate. This right here is the chromosome. This is the chromatid. And how many cells are made in mitosis? That's 2. How many cells are made in meiosis? That's 4. What's the difference between mitosis and meiosis? Meiosis. Yeah. Meiosis divides sex cells. What's that? Yeah. Ready? You want, can I just throw it up there?
Stu Riley.
Wait, did we all get one?
And I want my.
I wanna see how many
Good amount.
Oh,
Good amount.
11 out of 25.
nice.
Wait, I wanna see
If
how
she
many.
would- if you're
Here, hold on a
not
second, I'll just
getting
throw
my
it.
clothes back,
Is everybody
So
cool?
I could go to her house when she wasn't home, go
I
through
probably got
go through her
zero.
room and take everything that was mine
Sammy,
back.
get that.
Dad asked, I drove to her house.
Nobody got a 0.
Went into her room.
17,
all of my shit.
Riley.
Sammy,
And I she also had written everything.
21.
I'll give them back to you.
Look at my guy.
Dude, 4 out of 25. Let's go.
Tomorrow instead of
I'm like the worst. Oh, I'm the
No,
worst. Oh,
so
no, 4 out of 25.
we get paid tonight, so I'm about to
Oh,
tell
wow.
you, like, I have that
It
right now.
doesn't make
It's been
sense. A little more
months.
sense.
Oh, wow.
A little bit more sense.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, cool.